Australian Super Truck Nationals heads back to the nation's spectator track Wakefield Park Raceway for the fourth and final round of 2019. It's presented this weekend by Donaldson Filtration, and it's Gary O'Brien and Lachlan Mansell in the commentary box talking you through all of the action. Big field of super trucks on the track and a big field of spectators getting ready to watch the big rigs in action. Gary, looking forward to plenty of storylines unfolding on and off the racetrack.
Certainly are, Lockie. As you said, big crowd. Biggest crowd reputed to ever be at Wakefield Park for truck racing. Warm weather to go with it.
So it's an intriguing championship situation. Stephen Zammit, the six-time Super Truck champion, looks like he might be relinquishing his title. So we have a look at the points coming into the weekend. It is Shannon Smith who leads the way ahead of Volvo driver Robbie Fern, the consistent Marcus Prilwitz, and his Max Superliner counterpart Barry Butwell in positions 3 and 4.
Frank Amoroso missed the first round, but he's in P5 at the moment. Stephen Zammit has had a pretty shocking season as far as he's concerned. He's in 6. Anthony Tringali, then it's Lachlan Fern, the next one after that. In position 9, Mark Schutz and Brett Dalgleish rounds out our top 10.
Coming into the weekend, we caught up with some of our main contenders down in the pits.
Well, I think Shannon Smith's pretty well got it in the bag because he's got enough points in front, so I think he'd only just have to trickle around for the day and still win the championship. I don't think anybody can take that off him, actually.
Oh, look, I think there's 3 trucks here this weekend that could quite comfortably take it out. Shannon Smith's at the top at the moment, but I think he's got some reliability issues down the other end of the pack there. And I'm a Cummins man, so my money's on Fernie. I think Fernie's going to come through, and if he can just keep consistent all weekend, and I think he'll do all right. But I've got my own racing I want to do this weekend. We've got to try and clean sweep it, and we've done it so far. So we can clean sweep this weekend, mate. Whatever happens behind me, I'm not really caring. So they put on a good show and I win all the races, I'm happy.
We've had a pretty good year. We're right up in amongst it in the points, so it'll be very close racing today. I'm in second. The truck behind me is only 3 points behind me, we're both battling pretty tight at the moment. So number 1 truck's touch and go with a few breakdowns, so we might catch him yet.
We're sitting third on the ladder. We were at the start of the round 2 points behind Rob Fern. So I'm hoping to maintain that position at a minimum.
We come to the start of the round ahead 37 points. But we had warm up yesterday and did a gearbox. All we had was reverse and top gear. So we sort of went out for the first race to try and wing it a bit, and we got through, but that was the end of it. So we hit 11 o'clock last night, put a new gearbox in, and hopefully we get back out today without any dramas.
Wakefield for me makes it a bit easier because there's a lot more straights and there's not a lot of bends like Winton. Winton's got a lot of it's got bends and all that, so you've got to play around with the gears a lot. But I mean, it's a track, I guess, and it's good that we're driving on them.
This has got a much faster flowing track. It's a bit of a mixture from our old Laurel Park track from many years ago. Wakefield's a mixture of Laurel Park and Winton. It's got some good flowing stuff, but it's also got some slow corners in it as well. And the track actually normally likes it. It's a good race and a good spectator sport here, actually.
Oh, it's a bit slow. I'll run out a bit of road speed at Wakefield down the straight, but it's fairly nimble in the tighter parts of the track.
Yeah, go hard, see what happens. Probably end up on the back of the truck getting towed, but happens.
Super Trucks getting ready to hit the circuit for their formation lap for race number 2 of the weekend, and he's got a comfortable 37-point lead heading into the weekend, but a few nervous moments, Gary, for our championship protagonist Shannon Smith with some gearbox problems in Saturday's races.
Well, he had to get through qualifying and race 1 with only 5th gear. Overnight from Sunshine in Victoria, they brought a gearbox up to Albury. Someone from Wakefield Park went down to pick it up, and overnight they fitted it, so they're ready to go. Let's hope it all hangs together for them today.
There is the man who will start this race on pole position, Stephen Zammit, the 6-time Australian Super Truck champion. Not been a great season by his standards, but he would love to finish off the season with a race victory. You can see that the truck drivers are starting to get excited. You can see that the crowd is starting to get excited here at Wakefield Park as well. The grid positions for this second race of the weekend, they'll line up exactly how they finished in race number 1, and that means it's Stephen Zammit on pole position ahead of Barry Butwell. Back to Robbie Fern, Marcus Prilwitz in 4th, Shannon Smith out of position 5. Good to see Frank Amoroso back in the number 96 truck out of position 6, back to Mark Schutz, Anthony Tringali and Harvey Dale. Stephen Zammit looking for a strong weekend at Wakefield Park. It's been a really tough season by his standards, and he would love nothing more than to finish off the year with a round win. Barry Butwell comes into the weekend having endured an up and down season in the trucks, but he's always had pretty good pace. It's just been a few niggling reliability dramas that have cost him better results. And Shannon Smith, he'll come from grid position 5, but he's playing the championship game. He needs to grab a bundle of points this weekend in order to secure his maiden title. The field formed up in side-by-side formation, ready for the rolling start as they file down to turns 1 and 2. And it's Stephen Zammit that moves ahead of Barry Butwell to take the lead as they negotiate their way up the hill on this opening lap.
Robbie Fern made a pretty good start there. He's very keen to make sure he's as well advanced as possible ahead of Shannon Smith. He needs to be, and at the moment he's battling with Barry Butwell through turn 3 up to turn 4.
Those two trucks side by side up the hill, and it's Robbie Fern who squeezes Butwell wide and moves up into what will be a clear second position, and Shannon Smith trying to get up there as well. Those two trucks will bang doors as they head down the hill. Barry Butwell, we know that the Max Superliner's got nimble handling, and a sideways moment for Shannon Smith as he tucks back in behind the red Max Superliner.
Yeah, also in the picture there, Marcus Prilwitz and Frank Amoroso. Unfortunately for Frank, he missed the first round. Otherwise, he'd be in a fairly strong position coming into this, the final round today here at Wakefield Park.
Good battle between a couple of the Isuzu light trucks as well. Craig Yardy in the Caracar Trailers entry squeezing just ahead of Harvey Dale in the Young Guns racing machine. But it's Stephen Zammit who leads the way as they come out of the final corner to complete this opening lap. Robbie Fern in second position. He's got a chance of the title this weekend, but as Gary mentioned, he needs to finish well ahead of Shannon Smith. Then it's Butwell back to Shannon Smith, and then Marcus Prilwitz.
Yeah, Prilwitz got a little bit sideways coming out of turn 10. I think it cost him a bit of speed. I think he was trying to run down the inside of Smith, but just wasn't close enough to be able to affect that fully.
Marcus Prilwitz running a manual Road Ranger gearbox in his Max Superliner, unlike the automatic transmission that we have in a lot of the other trucks. And in a truck, the advantage of the automatic is that you don't lose momentum on the shift up through the gears, so it's actually can be a bit of a disadvantage to be running the manual unit, but Marcus Prilwitz still drives that Mac pretty hard and is able to extract good performance from it.
It's good if you want to grab a lower gear, 1 or 2 down from where you normally would be, though, having the manual. Particularly if you have a bit of a moment through a corner, lose some drive, it allows you to pick up the pace pretty quickly by dropping a couple of gears instantly.
What we see in the super trucks is that the different trucks do have their strengths and weaknesses in different parts of the racetrack. We know that Stephen Zammit's Kenworth is really strong in a straight line, but a truck like Barry Butwell's Max Superliner, a bit more nimble, if you could use that word to describe super trucks through the corners.
Well, we had Zammit driving Butwell's truck yesterday in the teams races, and he said if he had the best of both trucks, he'd be almost unbeatable anywhere he went, and mind you, makes you wonder how far in front he would be in that case. And just as we watched then, Robbie Fern locked an inside wheel going into turn 2, but maintains position.
Robbie Fern's been one of the big improvers in the super truck category this season. We saw that he got the round win when the trucks visited Wakefield Park earlier in the year, and he's followed that up with a string of consistent performances aboard his ex-John Falk Volvo to be right in championship contention heading into this final round.
Well, he's a little bit of the thorn in the side of Fern at the moment, because I think Fern would rather not have Butwell right behind him at this stage and just have him a little bit further back and hold up Smith if possible. Zammit continues to lead as they go down through the fishhook and around through turn 9 there. Tighter part of the track for trucks, and very hard to negotiate in something of this size, you would imagine.
Good battles starting to emerge a little bit further back in the pack as Barry Butwell looks to the inside of Robbie Fern. Nice move down the inside. The Max Superliner is through up into second position, but for how long? Robbie Fern was a bit slower on the entry to the corner, but he'll get the stronger exit, and he will swing back past Barry Butwell as they head down the main straight to recapture position 2.
The old over-under trick out of turn 10, taking that late entry and then cutting back on the inside gives you a faster run, and we've just seen that in effect as they ran down the straight that time, and Fern gets away with it, but for how long?
This is a good battle between those drivers. We can see Shannon Smith just lurking there behind them as well. Shannon Smith, of course, thinking about the championship game, is a bit further back in the pack. Mark Schutz, check this out, right around the outside of Anthony Tringali through turn number 9. Unfortunately, some problems for another one of the Isuzus. That's Harvey Dale in the Young Guns racing entry, pulling into the pits with a mechanical problem. But how was that move from Mark Schutz? Hard enough to go around the outside of someone in a car, let alone a racing truck.
Yeah, indeed it is. And we can see that now Butwell very keen to try and get past Fern, and obviously Fern very keen to make sure he doesn't, as we watch those battling it out.
Here we look back, go on board with Mark Schutz, and this time he's diving down the inside of Anthony Tringali into the fishhook. Good awareness there from Tringali. He saw that Schutz was coming, but Tringali will get the better drive out of the corner, and once again they'll go side by side into turn 9. It's Tringali who keeps the International Tradstar ahead on this occasion.
Bit of a David and Goliath battle, really, isn't it, between the bigger truck and the Isuzu? In the meantime, this battle continues between Robbie Fern and Barry Butwell. They're fighting it out for second position. Just in behind them, of course, Shannon Smith. He's just waiting to see how that transpires.
It's a good contest, isn't it? Positions 2 and 3. Robbie Fern staying just ahead at the moment. Marcus Brilwitz continuing to keep Frank Amoroso at bay in what will be the contest for positions 5 and 6 at this stage. So a few battles that are going to come right down to these last couple of laps here at Wakefield Park. Amoroso very, very quick up the hill, and he's made up ground on Marcus Brilwitz.
Yeah, he just needs to clear that Super Mac that Mac Superline, I should say, and I think he could probably go with the rest of them that are further up the field, but probably too late in this race.
We do know, though, that Frank Amoroso is a bit of a specialist when it comes to the reverse grid races, and races 3 and 4 will both feature that reverse grid format, so watch out for the Fate Racing Kenworth to work its way to the front of the field in those ones. As we go back on board with Barry Butwell, who now has not only his windscreen full of Robbie Fern, but he's got his mirrors full of Shannon Smith, so it's shaping up to be an enthralling three-way contest for positions 2, 3 and 4 as we head into the final lap.
There they go down the straight. Fern just gets slightly clear. I think he probably felt that Butwell may have got distracted just for a moment or two, and it's allowed him just that little bit of leverage that he may need to take through this final circuit.
All of these drivers pushing flat out, and what you can say is that Stephen Zammit hasn't been able to pull that much of a margin. When we look at the lap times, the fastest driver on the racetrack in this race has actually been Barry Butwell. He got down to a 1 minute 19.3 lap time back on lap number 2, which was 7/10 of a second quicker than the fastest lap of the race achieved by our leader Stephen Zammit. So Butwell's got good pace, he just hasn't quite had the track position to be able to mount a challenge on our race leader.
Yeah, and everywhere he is really fast, as you said, with his cornering speed, it's just no way of getting past.
A little bit wide out of the fishhook, and that gave Shannon Smith half a look up the inside, but Wells managed to hold on to the position. Let's see if there's any last gas braking manoeuvres into the final corner. One thing that is for certain is that Stephen Zammit's not going to be challenged. He's managed to establish enough of a buffer over his pursuers that he should be able to add another tally to his extensive tally of race victories in the Australian Super Truck Nationals. It is the number 1 Kenworth that comes across the line. Stephen Zammit takes out race number 2. Robbie Fern holds on for second position ahead of Barry Butwell, and then Shannon Smith comes home in 4th spot.
Well, that was a good result there for Steve Zammit. Good comeback, considering he didn't really take part in the third round because of a crack in the engine block. But there they are, the top 4 as they circulate around. Robbie Fern's done good in this one, Lockie, because he's managed to finish in front of his major rival.
He has by 2 positions, so valuable in terms of the points situation for Robbie Fern just to close the margin, keep the pressure on Shannon Smith in the battle for the title. Still 2 races to go, of course, and as mentioned, both of those races will feature a reverse grid format, so we'll get to see the fast trucks and the fast drivers having to fight their way through from the rear of the field. And there is Robbie Fern just pulling up alongside and acknowledging what was an exemplary performance from Steve Zammit. Confirmation of your race results for race 2, round 4 of the Super Truck Nationals here at Wakefield Park. And it's Stephen Zammit who takes the win ahead of Robbie Fern, Barry Butwell, Shannon Smith, Marcus Prilwitz and Frank Amoroso. Best of the light truck drivers, Craig Yardy. He finished up in 7th position ahead of Anthony Tringali and Mark Schutz.
Yeah, no, it's going really good at the moment, mate. We're on top of our little heating issue, and I think the weather's got a lot to do with it. But no, I was head down, ass up, mate, and I was out of there. So I'm not here to muck around, play silly buggers this weekend, mate. I want to take this out for the weekend. So that was our aim, and we're on track. So it's all good.
Yeah, we just finished race. That's all we're going to do. 2 races, and yeah, hopefully we'll 6 together. And Fernie's probably the only one behind us that. Not sneak up. This is the gearbox that gave us trouble there. The warm-up yesterday. It was a fair job. We had quite a few people there helping and lots of tools. So there's a few different things on it that gives a bit of a struggle with it, but we got through in the end. So
the contest for the 2019 Australian Super Truck Championship is heating up here at Wakefield Park. We'll have our 2 deciding races of the championship coming your way on the other side of the break. Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the 4th and final round of the 2019 Australian Super Truck Nationals presented by Donaldson Filtration. It's coming to you from the nation's spectator track, Wakefield Park Raceway. And while we've got the big rigs fighting it out for race victories on the circuit, Gary, spectators were also treated to a show from some of the historic trucks from years gone by, which got the chance to do some parade laps around the track.
Yeah, many of the large crowd that was at Wakefield Park over the 2 days got to see some pretty good machinery, some old stuff restored. A lot of it was parked down behind the main garage area and was just packed with people throughout a lot of the weekend. But now they get a chance to see them on track, and there we go. You know, a lot of these old trucks probably came from a paddock somewhere many years ago where they've now been fully restored. I think there's a tractor on the back of one of those ones there that looks like it's still under a program of restoration. And as you can see, certainly some delightful rigs out there just honking around there, just enjoying themselves, and that's a good opportunity for those guys to get out on track and might even convert a couple of them into race trucks at some stage.
And some much older vintage machines out there as well. Good to see such a huge crowd at Wakefield Park enjoying the sights and sounds, not just of the truck racing, but of some of the off-track festivities as well. There's been an autograph session for all of the fans to go and meet their favourite truck drivers. There's even been some lawnmower racing up on top of the hill for people to enjoy as well.
Yeah, and promoters did a really good job of that. They didn't put any of the lawnmower racing on while the trucks were racing.
So let's get into the racing action now. Race number 3, and to come up with our grid positions for this race, we reverse how they finished in race number 2. So it will be Mark Schutz on pole position for this one, ahead of Anthony Tringali, back to Craig Yardy. Then it is the master of reverse grid races himself, Frank Amoroso, Marcus Prilwitz, Shannon Smith, Barry Butwell, Robbie Fern and Stephen Zammit, and then Harvey Dale, who was the non-finisher in race number 2. He will still have to start at the rear of the field for this one. Always interesting in these reverse grid races, Gary, to watch the faster drivers coming through from the back of the pack and thinking about just how aggressively they approach the opening laps of the race.
And also interesting, as you mentioned, with Frank Amoroso, who generally starts some of these reverse grid races near the front, and he just goes straight ahead and we don't see him again.
Let's see if the master of reverse grid races can execute the start to perfection in this race. We get the field lining up in side-by-side formation. There is Stephen Zammit starting at the rear of the field. He's got a lot of work to do in the number 1 Kenworth. This is the view from onboard Marcus Prilwitz. He had pretty good pace in the previous race. He will be looking for a strong start as the field rolls up to the start line. And now it's pedal to the metals and get race number 3 for round 4 of the Australian Super Truck Championship underway. Mark Schutz will have the preferred inside line. Tringali a little bit wide at the turn-in point for turns 1 and 2. Amoroso already up there. You can see the Fate Racing Kenworth looking to get a good run up the hill. And look at the dust that's getting kicked up. Look at Amoroso around the outside. Here's the move for the lead on the opening lap, and he's pulled it off. Outside move on Mark Schutz at turn 3.
Yeah, well, we've seen Tringali. He just impeded himself, actually, as we see Harvey Dale go into the side of Robbie Fern. He's not going to move that truck out of the way with an Isuzu, is he?
Bit of aggression from the young gun, but he needs to just be a little bit careful about trying to pick on vehicles that are bigger than his own size. Harvey Dale. Here is Frank Amoroso. Mark Schutz trying to use the nimble handling of the Isuzu to stay with our 2014 Super Truck champion. And then it's back to Anthony Tringali. Shannon Smith's had a good start too. Shannon Smith already up to position 4.
And importantly, ahead of Robbie Fern, which is really where he wanted to be in the last race and just didn't have it on that occasion. But he's running just a little bit wide, Frank Amoroso, but holds it. And unfortunately for Craig Yardy, he's been left out high and dry there. And I think Steve Zammit may go down the inside of him here and move forward one position. He does so, and followed by Barry Butwell. Does he get through as well? I'm not sure. Maybe he will, because I think Yardy will just get out of the way there and let him have that position.
Anthony Tringali getting down the inside of Mark Schutz. We saw those trucks having a cracking battle in the previous race, and they are resuming hostilities in this one. Side by side up the hill, those two trucks will head. And it is Schutz who's gone around the outside of Tringali to pick up that position. We ride on board with Marcus Prilwitz, who is being hotly pursued by Stephen Zammit and Barry Butwell and Craig Yardy and Robbie Fern. It's a freight train of trucks battling it out in the mid-pack at the moment.
Now we've got Zammit looking for a way past Prilwitz. And Butwell's going to sneak down the inside of this, so he left the door open a little bit. And Batwell just widens it on the exit. And does he get through, or is he in the wrong position to get away with that? I think he may be actually off the wrong side of the road as Tringali really gets loose, and that's cost him a position to Smith.
Bit of a scary moment there for Anthony Tringali through turn number 9. The International Transstar bounced off the racetrack and then came back on at an awkward angle. Shannon Smith well positioned to capitalise on that, and Tringali's now getting muscled out high and wide by the rest of the field at turn number 10. Patience, does it exist in super truck racing? I don't think so.
No, he spent more time off the track than on it, I think, at this stage, and he's just lost another position as Pruitt's found a way through there. We had it on board as well. So a good look at that, and then we still Schutz is doing his best to shut the door on everyone getting past him. And we see Smith down in behind him. Zammit looking for a way past. Can he get it done here? He's on the wrong side of the track there. Maybe he'll do an over and under trick to try and get a roll on, and it looks like he's going to do it too. A bit of, beg your pardon, I'm coming through, whether you like it or not. No, you're not, was the final answer to that question.
Shannon Smith might be thinking about the championship situation, but that shows that he's not afraid to get his elbows out. Stephen Zammit tried to make the move at the fishhook, and Shannon Smith was having none of it. Got his elbows out through turn number 9 and just forced Stephen Zammit wide, but Zammit now gets the superior exit from turn number 10. Here's a replay of how it looked at the fishhook. You can see that Zammit was a bit shallower into the corner, got the better run out of the corner, but then he found himself on the wrong side of the road when they got to the next right-hander at turn number 9, and Shannon Smith just elbowed him out of the way.
That's the way to do it at this stage, but will it last? No, it looks like, because now they're side by side again. And will he hold on to it this time? Looks like he might do it the hard way, going around the outside, and does get away with it. So Steve Zammit moves up another spot, puts Shannon Smith behind him. Barry Butt will be the next one trying to get past.
Shannon Smith does need to race with his brain here, because it's exciting to watch him battling against the likes of Stephen Zammit and Barry Butwell, but the last thing that he can afford is to get turned around and fall back behind Robbie Fern, as we say that Mark Schutz, who'd done such a good job to hold on to second position for a number of laps, has made a mistake at the fishhook, and that's going to cost him at least 2, possibly 3 positions by the time he gets to turn 9.
Yeah, and Butwell's going to try and go around the outside. Maybe he wouldn't have been better off. No, he didn't have to in the end. Got past anyway. But yeah, I was just saying what a great job Schutz has been doing in the underpowered when compared to these big rigs to keep him at bay. And unfortunately, just a little slip up down to turn 8 brought him undone.
Well, the reverse grid format has certainly produced all of the passing and exciting dicing that we love with the reverse grid races in the Australian Super Truck Championship, but the man who leads the way, Frank Amoroso, has extended a comfortable buffer. It's going to be pretty hard work for the likes of Zammit and Smith to be able to hunt him down.
We see Fern further back, and he's just showing the way to that Isuzu in behind him. I think that's the Yardie machine that's next. And then, of course, we have, not Yardie, the next one back further, Shuts in there between them. Here's our race leader, Frank Amoroso. He's been just doing it. He's just gone.
He's had clear track. He's not really had any threats from behind for quite a while now. And look at the margin that he has extended over Stephen Zammit. So it is a comprehensive lead for Frank Amoroso, but the battle is on for positions 3 and 4. Barry Butwell closing onto the back of Shannon Smith. Next one back is Robbie Fern. He really needs to get on with things here. He needs to be finishing ahead of Shannon Smith if he is to remain in contention for the title. As we see him move at turn 10, Barry Butwell. We know the strength of the Max Superliner under brakes. He gets down the inside of Shannon Smith, but a bit like what we saw in the previous race with Zammit, Smith's able to execute the switchback manoeuvre on the exit of the corner, and he will move back up into third spot.
Just going on to the final lap, and he gets that spot back. It's position 3, and I think it was just Butwell running wide on the corner. If he'd have kept it a little bit tighter, he may have been able to hold that position, but it wasn't to be. He's not finished yet, though, as they make the run up the hill, and you can see it's imperative how you get out of the corners about what sort of speed you carry up to the next one.
Butwell tried to hang tough around the outside of Shannon Smith through turn 2, but Smith ultimately got the better run up the hill and was able to keep Butwell at bay. If Butwell wants to grab this spot, you'd have to suggest that he's probably got 2 more opportunities left to overtake. One of them will be down at the fishhook, and Shannon Smith will be well and truly awake to that. Drives down the middle of the racetrack, slows it up at the apex to make sure that Butwell doesn't have any chance to do the switchback manoeuvre.
Yeah, this is the next corner's imperative out of there to maintain that inside running down the last corner. You can't afford to go too slow through turn 10 or else Butwell will just go for the wide entry and take it on that way.
Well, we called him the master of reverse grid races at the top of the call, and he has demonstrated exactly why. Got to the lead on lap number 1, has never been challenged since then. The win goes to Frank Amoroso in race 3 for the Super Trucks at Wakefield Park. Stephen Zammit comes home in second. Shannon Smith just holds out Barry Butwell, and then it's Robbie Fern at the next one through. Craig Yardie finishing ahead of Mark Schutz as the best of the light truck brigade. So another race victory for Frank Amoroso in the reverse grid format. And really, that all comes down to experience, doesn't it, Gary? He's the longest serving or the most caps driver in the Australian Super Truck Championship. Certainly knows how to make overtaking manoeuvres.
Yeah, and he's a master of these reverse grid races. He's just done it time and time again, and today was no exception here at race number 3 to be able to do that. And so important to get away well, and exactly what he did. Moved down the inside, turn 2, then by the time he got to turn 3, he was in front.
Stephen Zammit, good drive from the rear of the field up into what was ultimately second position. And Shannon Smith, some valuable points in the bag, coming home in third spot. He moves a step closer to what would be his maiden Australian Super Truck title.
Yeah, and that's the number he'll lift, the number 1.
Confirmation of your race results on screen. Frank Amoroso, your winner, by around 8 seconds in the end, ahead of Stephen Zammit. Shannon Smith, Barry Butwell, Robbie Fern, your top 5. Craig Yardie just ahead of Mark Schutz in the battle of the light trucks. And then it was Anthony Tringali, Marcus Prilwitz, and good to see Harvey Dale back on the track as well.
No, mate, I gave it all in that race. I had the elbows out. I wasn't going to let anyone capitalise, but Frank got a really good start, and mate, just couldn't reel him in. He's just... I think he's found some speed in his truck, and yeah, he done a really good job to win the race. So second's pretty good for me though. I'm happy with that.
Bit of work happening before the last race?
Yeah, mate, we're just going to put a nice set of cold pads in there. We rode them every Friday, and yeah, it's just our normal thing. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Just throw some new pads in, away we go.
Frank's on fire. He's going to take some stopping in the last race.
Oh, yeah, I reckon I've got more laps up in his sleeve. I think he's a bit of an old fella. I reckon he'll get tired towards the end, so I reckon I'll get him covered, eh?
As soon as I seen the lights go out, I was hoping that the trucks would just part company a little bit and give me an alleyway up the middle, which I did, but I had one on the inside of me. But there was enough room for us to get round all in turn 1 without touching, so it worked out quite good.
And you left the rest of the field in your wake?
Well, that was the whole idea once I got there. But of course, it does make it easier for the front runner because the blokes behind you are actually starting to battle between each other, which gives you a bit of a breathing space up the front. And then towards the end of the race, I glanced in the mirror there at one stage and thought, they're too far back to actually bother me, so I just buttoned off a little bit and brought it home.
Yeah, I was going hell for leather, but I knew sooner or later there'd be a bit of push and shove and carnage, so better off just letting them through.
No, it's all good for what we want anyway at the moment. It's just, finish your race and be smart.
Halfway through the third race, I couldn't, half the time I couldn't get fourth gear. The blocks are just locking me out. So, if I get out, it'd probably just be to circulate. But I think the idea of a podium finish is just sort of faded away.
It's going to be all on. Full pressure. Hopefully I can get out in front and stay there. It'll be good.
Smith has taken another step closer to the 2019 Australian Super Truck title, but he's still got one race left to negotiate. It's the 10-lap Super Prix, the final race of the season, that's coming up next. Getting set for the fourth and final race of the weekend and the final race of the year for the 2019 Australian Super Truck Nationals. Gary O'Brien joining myself, Lachlan Mansell, in the commentary box for the 10-lap Super Prix, which will feature a full reverse grid based on the results of qualifying, and that means that once again we'll have the faster drivers starting at the rear of the field and fighting their way through the pack.
Certainly will, and we'll have, as a matter of course, the Isuzus at the front of the field, although I think Harvey Dale will take the option and move to the back to get out of everyone's road before the start of this race.
Harvey Dale, of course, driving the Young Guns Racing entry. He's been sharing that truck with Mitchell Prilwitz and a couple of other drivers over the course of the season, and he's elected to start at the rear of the field rather than risking having his ears boxed by some of the front-running and more experienced competitors in their larger super trucks. But we saw in the previous race number 3, that Frank Amoroso was able to work his way to the front of the field with great efficiency. Let's check out the grid positions for this final race of the weekend, and it's Craig Yardy and Anthony Tringali on the front row, back to Mark Schutz and then Frank Amoroso. Marcus Prilwitz is next. Shannon Smith will have the championship on his mind in position number 7, and then it's Robbie Fern back to Barry Butwell and Stephen Zammit rounding out your grid positions with Harvey Dale, as we mentioned, at the rear of the field.
And you can see Anthony Tringali eyeing off Craig Yardy as they come around the corner. How is he going to get this done? He's on the wrong side of the track to try and effect a move down to turn 1. He'll have to rely on the start, or at least try and get a good run out of turn 2, and then try and pass the Isuzu going up the hill.
So then Anthony Tringali's had some pretty good starts so far this weekend. We've seen him engaged in some good battles with the light truck brigade, in particular Mark Schutz. Those two have been having some good hard racing right throughout the weekend, but the green flag waves. We get underway for super truck racing for the final time in 2019, and it's the Isuzus that get the better of the start. And once again, Frank Amoroso making a good jump from a couple of rows back as well, but it's Yardy who will lead them up the hill for the first time ahead of Schutz. Amoroso moves up into third position. Not such a great start from Anthony Tringali this time around. He's been bundled back through the field.
So Steve Zammit too. He got a short back and sides from Barry Butwell in that exchange going through there, as we see Tringali off the track and drops to last as Dale goes past him as well.
So a little bit wide there up the top of the hill, Anthony Tringali, and gets forced out into the dust. So the International Transstar drops right to the back of the pack. Out in front, it's the two light trucks, the two Isuzus doing battle. Mark Schutz up on the inside of Craig Yardy. The Isuzus will form a side-by-side roadblock as they head through turn 9, and here comes Amoroso battling it out with Marcus Prilwitz yet again. Amoroso proving himself very effective at carving his way through the field. In the early stages of these reverse grid races, he'll go down on the inside of Mark Schutz coming out of turn 10.
Yeah, he's in the prime position to try and run up the inside of Schutz as well, and there he goes, pulls out down the right hand side of the track and goes straight to the front. So Frank Amoroso again out in front of a reverse grid race.
And yet again, it's only taken him one lap basically to get the job done. Marcus Prilwitz had the rear brakes locked. You could say the rear end of the Max Superliner twitching sideways as he headed through turn 2, but he still managed to get a reasonably good exit. Here comes Robbie Fern as well, running side by side with Mark Schutz on the run into turn 3. We've seen so much side by side action through that corner this weekend, and it's Robbie Fern who gets the job done to move up another spot.
Yeah, not far behind him too is Shannon Smith trying to find his way through, follow him up the track, and just needs to concentrate on getting to the line to finish this race to take the title.
It's pretty much correct. As long as Shannon Smith sees the checkered flag, he will accumulate enough points to take out what will be his maiden Super Truck title, as we've got a bit of bumping and grinding happening on the exit of the fishhook as Marcus Prilwitz using a bit of Morse code there to let Craig Yardie know that he's there and that he'd like to find a way through.
Yeah, I probably knew, but no harm in reminding him. And there we can see Zammett's pulling out of a toe to try and go down the inside of Butwell, is it? Did he try to get past? Looks like he's done the job as well.
Shannon Smith in there as well, and look at Frank Amoroso once again taking advantage of the clear track. He's already pulled well clear of the rest of the field. Prilwitz up into second position. Robbie Fern gets the job done on Craig Yardie and moves up into third spot. And we've got the battle raging behind, involving Shannon Smith, Steve Zammett, Barry Butwell.
Now Robbie Fern makes a move on Prilwitz going up the hill to turn 3. Gets the job done. So he's doing all the right things. All he needs now is for Shannon Smith to have a problem. But I don't think he's going to get into any nasty stuff at this stage anyway.
So Robbie Fern up to second. He's now got a bit of breathing space and he's got clear road ahead to start punching out the lap times that he's capable of. Trailing Frank Amoroso. Yardie a little bit twitchy coming down into the braking zone for the fishhook.
There we see Zammett trying to go around the outside of him with Smith right on his tail. And Yardie's thing seems to be very loose at the back, is probably the best way to describe that. It's sliding all over the place at the moment. There's no weight over those back wheels, hence why they have that wing on the Isuzu. Try and get some downforce. Don't think it's quite working at the moment though.
Well, the high ambient temperatures and the high track temperatures probably mean that the tyres are starting to struggle a bit on some of these trucks as well, as Stephen Zammett gets into the back of Marcus Prilwitz coming out of turn 10.
And here's Frank Amoroso, and that gap's just getting longer and longer. Fern in second. Now got Prilwitz under pressure from Zammett, Smith, Butwell and X through too. So the Isuzus have slid their way effectively to the rear of the field.
Indeed they have. So Harvey Dale still out there a little bit further back, but both Schutz and Yardie have been shuffled back as we see Zammett on the outside of Prilwitz at turn 3. That'll give him the inside run for turn 4. He has to use all of the curb and a fair bit of the grass on the inside, but eventually he makes the move stick. Prilwitz gets forced wide at turn 5, and this will open the door for Shannon Smith and for Barry Butwell too. So Marcus Prilwitz gets shuffled back 3 spots in the space of a couple of corners.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, does it, to fall down the field. Now Smith can just hang there and not do anything else. He's got it in the bag. Oh, and we see Butwell surrender his spot by just running off the track at turn 8. And that'll drop him back behind Prilwitz. So the Max Superliners haven't been easy to get past. Ask Steve Zammett. He's had problems with both of them so far this weekend.
But at least after driving Barry Butwell's truck in the team's championship races, he'll have a bit of an understanding of where its strengths and weaknesses are relative to his own truck. Frank Amoroso's got the track all to himself out in front. Robbie Fern, very solid job once again in second position. There's Stephen Zammett third. Shannon Smith in fourth. Risk minimisation, the objective for him now. He just needs to bring that truck home to wrap up the title. And then it's the pair of Max Superliners. Prilwitz just ahead of Butwell.
Yeah, Amoroso's not sparing the rod at all either, as he keeps continually locking up brakes and throwing the thing in as hard as he can. He wants to win and win it well.
Tell you what, it's setting up Amoroso really well. He obviously missed the first round of this season, but with the momentum that he's carried the last couple of rounds, could well be in a very good position to have a real crack at the title next year. And we've got a spin for Marcus Prilwitz coming down the hill out of turn number 5. Now, at the time, Gary, he was involved in a battle there with Barry Butwell in the other Max Superliner. I'm just wondering if maybe they've come together on the exit of that corner. Either way, it's seen Prilwitz drop down the field.
Well, he did get past him initially, then lost the spot, and now we have a replay of it. We don't see if there's contact, but just a brief glimpse just prior to that Butwell was in behind him, so we can only surmise about what happened there.
So Prilwitz finds himself tumbling down the order as Amoroso continues to build this margin. Robbie Fern's doing his very best to keep Amoroso within range, but I just don't think he's quite got the pace at the moment. Frank Amoroso is lapping about half to 0.6 of a second quicker than Robbie Fern at the moment.
There's Steve Salmon at the moment. Now, you've got to remember too, Lockie, that he will be trying to win the round. That's the only satisfaction he can have out of the weekend. And at the moment, he leads on points for this round. And I think running second at the moment would be Robbie Fern. So he'd be keen to get past him to make sure he consolidates that spot.
Stephen Zammit, another driver, obviously, who's had lots of success in super trucks over the years. He is a 6-time national champion. He's won multiple titles over in New Zealand as well, but he's had a bit of a tougher season this year, including an absolute shocker in one of the Winton rounds where he didn't get to race at all due to some terminal engine problems at the beginning of the weekend. So again, for Stephen Zammit, this weekend's about building some momentum up towards the 2020 season, where no doubt he'll be back out there trying to recapture that number 1 place.
Yeah, cracked block was the problem there after he put in his fastest ever qualifying laps. Unfortunately, that drama put him out for the weekend. Not so for Frank Amoroso at the moment. As we mentioned before, he missed the opening round while they lightened this truck up, refreshed it, as it were, and has to come back strong.
And he is the elder statesman of super truck racing here in Australia, Frank Amoroso, but I'll tell you what, the performances that he's put together in these couple of reverse grid races and the lap times that he's punched out, he is showing that he is every bit a match for some of the younger drivers in the field.
It just goes to show you what you can do when you've got fresh air in front of you and a clear track. You can actually match it with any of them. And he's proved that. Big battle going on for second now between Fern and Zammit.
So Zammit's put his head down and he has railed in Robbie Fern, fastest lap of the race, in fact, for Stephen Zammit on the previous tour of the circuit, in 1 minute 18.1. And here he comes to the outside of Robbie Fern on the run into turn number 9. Those two trucks will head side by side into the braking zone for turn 10. Robbie Fern will still have the preferred inside line. Zammit trying to go the long way round. He'll get the better exit, but Robbie Fern will have the preferred inside line when they get down to the bottom of the straight at turns 1 and 2. And we've got another incident, and it's Marcus Prilwitz again, and he's tangled up with the Isuzu of Craig Yardy on the exit of the fishhook.
Well, that's Prilwitz coming back through the field after he was turned around a corner or so before that. They've both got going again. Will they be okay? We'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, Fern still holds out Zammit for second position. Smith in their wake follows and can almost put a hand out. Now it looks like we've got dramas for both those two protagonists in that little bit of a dust-up.
So damage to both of those trucks in the air, limping back to the pits. So game over for Yardy and for Prilwitz, unfortunately, as we say the challenge for second position. Stephen Zammit down the inside in the fishhook and contact with Robbie Fern at the apex. Fern shut the door firmly and he stays ahead of Stephen Zammit, who comes under pressure from Shannon Smith.
A couple of guards there flapping away, but that's not unusual from the amount of side-to-side contact that's been on. And is Smith looking for a way to get around? He locks a break up. I think he come in there a little bit too hot. And now we'll have another shot at him coming down the straight.
This is a good battle for positions 2, 3 and 4. Barry Butwell not too far away either. And Barry Butwell, another driver who's punching out some very fast lap times at the moment. 1 minute 18.10 for Butwell that time through, which is the fastest lap of the race. Eclipses the lap that was set by Zammit last time around. So Butwell rapidly catching this battling trio of trucks as well.
I think we've seen a fleeting background shot of Pruitt's who's been taken to the back of the pit, so his day's done. There must have been a bit of drama. More drama for Zammit now. He's fallen off the track up out of turn 4. So has he got a problem from that little bit of a touch-up with Fern the previous lap around, maybe?
He's very slow, wasn't he, as he crested the top of the hill, and he didn't mount much resistance as both Shannon Smith and Barry Butwell drove past. So for Stephen Zammit now, you would have to say it's probably just about trying to limp his truck home to make sure that he can secure the round win.
Indeed so. Yeah, he's dropped off the pace phenomenally so at the moment, and we'll just be going through the motions, I guess. Meantime, no motions up front except really quick ones as Frank Amoroso cuts off another lap and heads off for the final time in the number 96 Kenworth, well ahead of the rest of them.
He's now got a 10-second margin over the rest of the field, Frank Amoroso.
Just love the way he keeps into it too. He's not letting up at all, is he?
Again, it just shows you the benefit of getting clear track early in the reverse grid race. If you can get to the front of the field while everybody else is busily trying to work their way through traffic, it can give you a big advantage, and that's exactly what's going to happen for Frank Amoroso in this race. Let's give a shout out to Robbie Fern, because while he might just miss out on winning the title, that looks set to fall the way of Shannon Smith. It's still been an excellent season for Robbie Fern, by far and away the most competitive he has had since he came into the super truck category a few years ago, having purchased that Volvo from the former super truck champion John Falk.
And here we see the battle for third continues. It's going to go down to the wire with Butwell on the back of Smith. I don't think Smith will really care that much whether he finishes third or fourth. It's just a little bit of pride, I guess, more than anything else.
Yep, either way, it's going to be good enough for him to claim the title. Butwell was looking there like he was about to send it for a last lap manoeuvre, but it's Frank Amoroso who picks up his second win of the weekend aboard the Fate Racing Kenworth. Look at the margin that he's extended over the rest of the field. Robbie Fern comes home in second position. He will be second overall for the round as well, and Butwell does indeed get home ahead of Shannon Smith for what will be position number 3 in the race. Smith gets relegated to the 4th, but in doing that, he clinches the title. Shannon Smith is the 2019 Australian Super Truck champion. Really has been a solid performance right throughout the season.
And how solid it is for this man, the veteran of truck racing in Australia, to get 2 wins over the weekend.
Frank Amoroso setting himself up nicely heading into the 2020 season. Let's confirm your race results from the final race of the season for the Super Truck Championship. Amoroso, your winner, ahead of Fern, Butwell, Smith back to Mark Schutz. Stephen Zammit 6th, but that's still good enough for him to win the round, ahead of Anthony Tringali and Harvey Dale. Unfortunately, Craig Yardy and Marcus Prilwitz, your retirements.
Yeah, I'm actually stoked, actually. We did the same thing with that one there. I was able to jump up to the front and just drove away from the field, and had a nice little comfortable drive up the front, actually.
I know Steve would be seething. He was intent on getting you in that last race.
Yeah, I could see him in the mirror, but I think something must have went wrong. But the gap was very slow in closing up, and I'd actually bucked off a little bit, so I had a bit up my sleeve. I was adamant to win it regardless.
Yeah, we went really well, and truck held together pretty well, so yeah, pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, it's real good. The boys worked really hard all season, so we've managed to pull it off. It's been sort of the last race wasn't too bad, we sort of had it in the bag by then, but it's good to finish a day off.
I'm actually pretty happy about it. Actually, it's going to give us something to achieve next year. We've been trying everything, a lot of different stuff on the truck, and look, we're getting inroads, and I think today's racing showed. We had a $5 bolt fail in that last race, and yeah, the back end was walking, and no, it wasn't ideal, so I just sort of backed out of it and finished the race, just for the weekend points. But no, look, I'm happy for Shannon. He's done a great job all year, and mate, if he's going to have a target on his back next year, I can tell you, mate, because there's a lot of guys that want that trophy back.
Yeah, unfortunately we're too far behind to win the championship, but congratulations to Shannon. Well done.
Yeah, good luck to him. He's actually done a good job, and that's the whole idea, is to be consistent. You've got to finish races, and that's what wins you championships.
So he puts up a good fight, so it's been good.
The highlight probably really is as long as you can drive the truck back on the trailer. Other than that, it's just go out and do your best and try your hardest.
We'll be back next year because we're too far in now. We've got to keep going.
Oh yeah, we're definitely coming back. We haven't finished yet. They're not getting it that easy.
What else would I do?
So another Super Truck season is complete, and in the end, a 30-point win to Shannon Smith in the final standings ahead of Robbie Fern. And Barry Butwell, Gary, he had an up-and-down season, but still managed to finish in the top 3 in the standings.
Yeah, it was a good effort, and considering going into that last race, he needed to finish where he did, and he did it on the line, and that got him second for the round.
Mark Schutz ends up as the best placed of the light truck brigade as well. Looking forward to seeing more of the light trucks in action next season. And as Gary mentioned, Barry Butwell finishing second for the round, just behind our overall winner, Stephen Zammit. Thanks for your company. Hope you've enjoyed all of the action right throughout the 2019 Australian Super Truck Nationals. The trucks will be back on track for another season of racing in 2020. On behalf of Gary O'Brien, I'm Lachlan Mansell. See you next time.